someone, you have to have their permission.
You do?
You do,
Oh, okay.
yeah. You can't just randomly get away with it.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, so this is the beginning of our beautiful Japanese garden, which is from 1912 primarily. It's been altered since to some degree, but that's when it was started. And here are our food dogs that start the garden. We have the female here, and she has her hand on her pup that she's playing with.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the guardian of the spiritual. He is the guardian of the physical. So he has his hand on a ball representing the idea of the world and of play. So they're meant to be very frightening to something that might be harmful. They're kind of a protectorate type thing. And they are also meant to look fun for you. Cheerful and like a lot of fun. The idea of lion dogs came about in the times when people from China had heard of lions from India, but they hadn't seen them, so they're trying to relate them to an animal they're familiar with. And that's where the lion dog concept came about, and it was adopted by Japan as well. Okay, let's continue and have a look at this orange color right here. And try to remember that. We're going to go down to the bottom of this little slope.
Michelle, I noticed most of the stuff is perennial, but there were a few annuals planted here and there. Would you say it's like not very many annuals here?
I know that there are some things that are, and our rose curator really likes to have companion planting for his roses.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it's great.
And I thought that I saw, was that Alstroemeria that I saw?
Yes.
I couldn't believe it because I've never seen it so short.
Oh.
Usually you see the longer stems.
Uh-huh.
So that
Right.
was so interesting.
Right. He likes to plant lots of different
But those are
plants.
not annuals, are they?
Not here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they are someplace, but they're not
Yeah,
here.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
St. Myrtle. Remember the Japanese garden ones with that? This is like a really bigger.
That's why you push. Yeah. What's down there?
Seguimos para allá.
Oh.
The water. Japanese. So it's like a long.
The village seemed to start like in the 1900s, like maybe 20 years. Sure they do, yeah.
Okay. So this garden was the last that Mr. Huntington had put in himself. It's from 1912, this central section. There have been changes to it, but not a great deal. So this is the main historic part of the garden from that period of time. The house that you see is the sort of how someone from the 19th century that was fairly well-to-do in Japan might have for their house. And these kinds of houses that would have really been residences were used here in America as tea rooms. everything to do with Japan was extremely exciting and exotic because Japan had not been open for trade for very long at the turn of the last century, only since the middle of the 1800s. And so everything was very exciting that was Japanese. And then Madame Butterfly had just been written. So that was very romantic as well, making it even more appealing. And wealthy people would often put in Japanese gardens on their property, and so would hotels. But here in California, we had so many Japanese people already here from the gold rush that it was just easier to get this done here. So Mr. Huntington wanted to put one in, and Mr. Marsh, who lived on the other side of Pasadena, had many of the things you see, including this house and a tea garden he was making that had not been as successful as he hoped. So he was selling what at the same time, which worked out beautifully. The house was disassembled and brought across the hills in carts and reassembled here on the property. And then there's, for example, that stone structure that you see, that like a little pagoda thing, that would hold a lantern. It was, you had lanterns in the garden, not so much to see the path. It's more like, oh, don't miss this. This is lovely. Or the idea of fireflies, looking like fireflies. I'm sorry, what was it?
Like a spotlight.
Yeah, exactly. So a little different than we use outdoor lighting, but anyway, it was quite a lovely concept. And then you can see all the curvy paths. It's said that the bad things can't follow you around corners, so yeah, curvy paths. And also they help to change your view all the time, so that you're constantly discovering a new beautiful spot, and you're not just going to that one place to get the best view, the perfect view. Whereas in the Roses, which is a geometrically laid out garden, there might be more of it because of just from being straight lines, it makes more sense. So this is something that is meant to be a place where you stroll through the garden quietly with your thoughts and slowly and get just soothed by nature around you. Not taken out of your head, just soothed. So a very different thing. We're going to compare it to the Chinese garden in a minute here. You'll see a lot of beautiful plants that you see over or through. By keeping the branches down, you can see how they sometimes get tied to bamboo to kind of break them down a little bit so that they're not springing. There's a lot of appreciation for age and experience in Japanese culture. So you have bonsais with that more sideways appearance, and the plants as well often trimmed that way. So you see through them, over them, everywhere you look, it's beautiful and also soothing, because if you're looking through or over a plant to the next and the next and the next, it's more soothing to you than if you're seeing something all at once. That's more of an excitement factor. And that orange I had you look at, the bridge was originally painted that color, but they've had to rebuild the bridge a couple of times since it was done in 1912 originally. And last time they did it was in the 70s, and they said, you know, this is more in keeping to have the natural wood in a Japanese garden. It was just a misunderstanding of the time that they painted it orange, which is more of a concept of Chinese gardens that have bright colors and are more exciting, and there's more playful factors than in the Japanese. But there's a lot of emulation of nature. Things are meant to look like clouds in the pruning, and you have the bridge so incredibly curved to reflect in the water and look like the moon. So when you have rocks and water and plants, and if you don't have real water, you suggest it with plants or rocks arranged a certain way to suggest water. So that these are still factors in the culture. Let's go up here and compare it to the Chinese garden.